Testosterone's an interesting subject. A lot of people sort of have heard the term, and some people, I think of when they think of testosterone, they think of sort of action movies and big muscles and things like that, and then other people will think more of it being the primary sex hormone that creates sex drive in men, and in women too, but also develops the male sex characteristics. So that's great. And in terms of around exercise, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, misconceptions, and misunderstanding about what testosterone is and what it does. It is the primary male sex hormone, which does those things like drives the development of the male sexual characteristics, and then it has this anabolic role where it creates an environment which is really appropriate for muscle gain and strength development. So if someone has high natural levels of testosterone, they're going to find it far easier to get stronger and get more muscular from exercise. Those who have lower than normal testosterone levels are going to find it more challenging, and the research tends to show that people with low testosterone levels have less lean muscle tissue, and they are less strong than those in the normal range. So it has an impact on exercise and training, which is what we're talking all about here at HITuni. You can certainly impact your testosterone levels acutely, so over the short term, and you can also affect your long-term chronic levels of testosterone as well. So over the short term, sort of almost like on an immediate basis, things that impact testosterone levels are things like your sleep. So if you have a really good night's sleep, you're going to have higher testosterone levels than if you have a poor night's sleep. Eating a meal will reduce your testosterone levels for up to 3 hours after you've eaten. Just the time of day has an impact on your testosterone levels too. So testosterone levels tend to be highest between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, and then lowest somewhere between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. in the evening. Exercising, so a high intensity resistance training workout will boost, certainly in men, will boost testosterone levels for about half an hour after the workout. Aerobic exercise for a relatively short period of time, for around about half an hour, will boost testosterone levels. At the other end of the scale, can, for example, regular high intensity training elevate your baseline testosterone levels chronically over the long term? Some research suggests yes. Some research hasn't proven that yet. So it's effectively, there's no consensus in the research, although there are promising signs that you may be able to at least to a degree, chronically elevate your testosterone levels with exercise. From the research, it's like a reasonable volume and a reasonable duration. So certainly high intensity resistance training fits the bill there. Has been shown to increase testosterone. And then what else is important in a workout to increase testosterone levels is that there is a metabolic element to it. So you produce lactate when you're working out. Again, in a high intensity training set, that's certainly happening as you progress your way through the set. The body's starting to produce lactate, and that's been shown to be associated with increasing testosterone levels. And then finally, they have shown in the research that tempo of movement is important, particularly slow eccentric, slow negative is associated with that acute increase in testosterone after a workout. So high intensity resistance training certainly covers those bases. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to impact your testosterone levels. But like I mentioned earlier, if everything's out of whack for you, if you're working way too hard and you're sleeping poorly, that stuff I think has almost got to come first, or it's certainly got to be taken into account. You can't just throw workouts on top of a highly stressful lifestyle and hope that that's going to have a positive impact in terms of the testosterone. I think you've got to look to address all of those things as best you can. And I think they all have an impact. It's like a holistic picture, and just picking one of those elements might have some degree of help, but synergistically, all of these lifestyle factors, if you approach them and look to make them as good as you can do within the constraints of your life, the better off you're going to be from a perspective of testosterone. On the other hand, it is known that you can chronically decrease your testosterone levels by engaging in a lot of long duration, long distance and regular endurance or aerobic exercise. So we're talking workouts that last probably over 90 minutes to 2 hours. If that's a repeated pattern, it's known that people can reduce their testosterone levels by 50 to 75% lower than normal. So that can be a big issue for marathon runners, triathletes, race walkers, people involved in sort of long distance endurance activities. In men, it's very unlikely that you're going to be producing too much testosterone. Some women may produce sort of at the high end of testosterone, and their testosterone-estrogen balance might be out of whack, so they sort of maybe develop more male characteristics. They might get some facial hair or even some male pattern balding. Their periods might stop. So that could be an issue in the balance of testosterone to estrogen. And so in a way, potentially, it might be possible for a woman to naturally have too much testosterone, or at least that balance with estrogen to be off. For a man, I'm not aware that that's possible. The only way, that men would typically have an excessive amount would be if they're taking steroids. You can go down sort of the medical, legal route. Say if you have chronic low testosterone levels, then you can go on testosterone replacement therapy, which is going to effectively be putting chemically made testosterone into your system, and your body will react positively to that, and your circulating testosterone levels will increase. What it will do, though, is shut your own production of testosterone in your gonads down, so your balls will shrink, for want of a better term, significantly. And then there's the other route, which is taking without prescription testosterone or similar steroids to enhance muscle growth, that some athletes and bodybuilders may well do, and they can be increasing their testosterone levels massively beyond normal levels, and then maintaining that with chemicals at this super high level for weeks and months at a time, which is creating this environment which is very suitable for muscle growth and strength increase, but may well have its downsides to doing that. All of these lifestyle factors we mention, we know have an acute impact on testosterone. Whether they have a chronic impact, I think they will do over the long term. You have a whole load of good lifestyle patterns. You sleep well, let's say you meditate, you engage in high intensity resistance training, you do some form of steady state aerobic activity sometimes, you eat well, you keep your body fat levels low. If you do all of those things over the long term, I would imagine that there would be, all things being equal, there would be a positive impact on your chronic testosterone levels. You could online nowadays, you could go online, get a blood prick test or a venous test, take your own blood at home, pop it in the post, and within 4 or 5 days you're going to know what your current testosterone levels are. If you do that, it is wise to do it at a particular time. So you might want to do it between 4 and 8 a.m. So I'd say sort of like 8 a.m. in the morning would be a good time before eating. And then I would do it, again, sort of 4 or 5 weeks later, because I think it's wise to have a couple of because some days, you might have been in a very stressful situation. Life stresses might impact, and one reading might not tell you, sort of your true level. So to have a couple at least would give you a good indication. Sort of if your first one's in the normal, right in the middle of a normal range, and there's no concern whatsoever, fine. But if you find you're at the low end, then I'd get a second test done to sort of confirm that. But very easy to do nowadays.